friends and family, a warm welcome to you all. Hope you all are doing fantastic. Thanks for joining us today in Anaba's Kitchen. So today it's a quick, easy, yet tasty okra stew. First, we made agbulima or fermented cassava dough. Make sure you watch that video. It is linked below for your convenience. Then out of that we made fufu, which is also known to the Ivorian people as blakali. So make sure you watch that video as well, linked in the description box. And today we're bringing you the okra stew we served the fufu or blakali with. Let's begin, but first let's wash our hands. So for the protein today, I have some tilapia cleaned and soaked in ginger juice, which really freshens it. You'll love it when you prep your tilapia that way. I also have my homemade cured lamb. Cooks really fast and brings loads of flavors. And then of course, what is okra stew without some shrimp? It's optional, but I love it in there. And here is my okra, and then I'm going to fortify the nutrition with some spinach. This is baby spinach, all cleaned and ready to go. Then I have my cured king mackerel, which is going to accentuate the meaty umami flavors in the dish. I have a tablespoon of ginger and garlic paste. Then I have my homemade all-purpose seasoning, and then I also have some black pepper. Then I have my red oil or palm oil. That is optional, but it's really going to bring great flavors here. I have 2 Scotch bonnets or habanero chilies. You can decrease the amount if you cannot stand the heat, or you can increase it if you want more heat. I have 1 large red bell pepper, 2 red onions. I'll use 1 to garnish, and then I'll use 1 to do the cooking. And last but certainly not the least, I have 1 cup of crushed tomatoes, followed by some rosemary. If I'm going to be using tilapia and lamb, I need to throw in some rosemary in there. Really amplifies the flavors. First step is to cook the lamb. So I'm gonna start this pot on medium heat, and the lamb goes in right away. So friends, as I mentioned earlier, this is my homemade tolo beef or cured lamb. The link is below, also in the description box if you're interested in learning how I did this. And always when I use it to cook, I like to extract a lot of the salt in there because it's cured with a lot of salt. And the way I do that is on medium heat in a Dutch oven, and I add a little bit of water, and I place the lid of the pot on it and leave it for about 15 minutes. You will be so surprised as to what happens. Just wait and you'll see. So I have prepped my bell pepper into a fine chop. Doing the same with 1 of my onions. The other I'm going to slice into big chunks for garnish later, as I mentioned earlier. And there it is. So fine chopped onion done. Thick sliced also done with the other onion. And for my habanero chilies, I'm going to finely mince them. Now I leave the seeds in. That's what really carries the heat. I like the heat, so I don't mind it at all. So I leave it in and I give it a fine mince. Now take a close look here, what just happened. Now if you take a close look, friends and family, you'll notice that most of the salt has been rendered off, including some of the fat. Friends, try this procedure when you're cooking with your cured beef or cured lamb. This is a necessary step. Look at all that salt. We don't need that in there, so get it out. Little water, medium heat, keep the lid on for about 15 minutes. You come back and all the salt is rendered off. You can take it out and continue to cook. So there we have it. We have removed the salt without losing any of the flavor from the cured meat. All right, so I've poured in my palm oil. And I still have it on medium heat. I add my rosemary. And then I also have my habanero goes in there as well. And then I also add my paste of ginger and garlic. I'm also adding my homemade all-purpose seasoning and black pepper crushed. And then I also add my cured king mackerel, which is lonshla or momone. All right, so all of that goes in, still on medium heat. We're going to give it a quick stir to combine all the ingredients we have added. And the aroma circulating your home right now, friends, when you try this recipe should be enough to blow your socks right off. I have added my chopped onions to the pot. Stir that in as well. We're going to get all these ingredients nicely caramelized to elevate the flavors in this pot right here. At some point also, the king mackerel that's cured, or the lonshla or momoni, is also going to disintegrate nicely. You won't even find it in there, and that's really going to up the flavors as well. Now I add my crushed tomatoes. Stir that in there as well, and what we're going to do now is to let it simmer down so we can lose the moisture in the tomatoes. That's also going to cook it completely. Then we'll be ready for the next step. So I have my okra, and these are fresh okra. You can use your frozen, but the fresh one, you know, fresh, nothing better than that, right? So if you have access to the fresh, absolutely go for it. What I've done is just cut them up into big chunks, and I'm going to use my food processor today to give it a rough and quick chop. Don't have too much time today, so let your equipments that you have in your kitchen help you out. That's what we bought them for, right? So a few pulses here and there, and we have chopped it beautifully. Now transfer your chopped up okra into a separate pot, because we're going to cook it to develop the slime even more, which is one of the characteristics of this recipe. All right, now we're going to add about 2 cups of water to it, followed by some bicarbonate of soda, just a pinch of it. That's really going to help us to develop the slime even more, and also retain that bright green color of the okra. All right, so set it on medium heat. Give it a quick stir. Make sure everything is nicely combined. And then when it comes to a boil, we're going to come back and start beating it to help get that draw in there. While our stew cooks simultaneously, trying to reduce the tomato juice in there, give your okra a beating just to whip it, all right, to really get that draw to come through. Also, don't forget to stir your tomato-based stew. Make sure nothing is catching on the bottom of the pot. Now the tomato stew has been cooking for about 15 minutes since adding the tomatoes to it. So now we go in with our tilapia pieces. As I stated earlier, the tilapia has been soaking in ginger juice for about an hour, which really helps to freshen and brighten the tilapia taste. Crucial step that really helps with tilapia. All right, so now I've added some water to it as well, and I'm stirring it in before it comes to a boil. Well, once it comes to a boil, you won't be able to give it this good vigorous stir, because then the tilapia pieces will become too delicate and can fall apart when you go in and stir. Place the lid on and cook still on medium heat for about 5 minutes. Now see, our okra has developed an excellent draw. We are ready for the next step. Now I've turned the heat completely off of the okra mixture. What I'm doing now is prepping my baby spinach, just giving it a quick rough chop, and then I'm going to add it to the okra mixture. Turn it completely off, because all we need to do to the spinach is wilt it down. We don't need to cook it, because we don't want to destroy the nutrients that we're trying to fortify this dish with. All right, so stir it in, and the residual heat in the pot already is going to wilt it down. I'm also throwing in my chopped up red bell pepper in there. Don't want to overcook that either. This is so nutritious. So that's good to go, and I have the perfect, excellent draw. It's going to now join this pot.
Now after 5 minutes, remove the lid from the pot. Your tilapia should be cooked through completely and should be flavorful and succulent. Tilapia doesn't take long to cook at all. I've also added my shrimp, which have already been deveined. It was bought that way. Now as you're cooking, you need to taste to confirm the amount of salt you have in there. If you don't have enough, please season as per your own preference. I don't need to add any salt because that cured lamb did this justice. There is no need to add any more salt. So now we throw in our okra mixture and look at those colors. So beautiful. So now that goes in, we have already cooked both components. We don't need to cook too much further. So now that that has joined this pot, the heat is still on medium heat. I'm going to gently fold the okra mixture in without scattering the tilapia pieces. All right, very important. All right, so there it is. Our soup is almost done. We are about 99% cooked right now. So throw in your crunchy fresh onions to brighten the dish. And I love using red onions for this purpose because it also gives it a punch of color. You're done. At this point, you should be turning your heat completely off. The residual heat in there is going to slightly tenderize the onions, keeping the crunch in as well. And we are ready to serve now. Quick and easy. It took about 35 minutes to cook this stew. There it goes. And I served it with the plakali or fufu. And we really enjoyed this. This was super flavorful, well seasoned, crunchy, beautiful textures. It was completely delightful.
Friends and family, thank you so much for joining us today here in Anaba's Kitchen. I hope you had fun. And if you did, why don't you go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you haven't already done so. I hope to see you pretty soon in my next one. Make it a great day and have fun, especially in that kitchen. And you all know what time it is. Shop time.